based on formality. In this, we have two categories. What are those two categories? The first is formal communication, and the second we call it as informal communication. What do you mean by formal communication? Formal communication is something which is organized, which is structured, and which follows official channels. Okay, that means in a hierarchy wise, we are just approaching. For example, an employee is approaching to his immediate manager, then immediate manager is reporting to his manager, then that particular manager will be reporting to department manager. Okay, then it goes on to CEO. I mean, here a proper hierarchy is being followed. This is a kind of a structured approach you can follow that. Okay, basically, when we try to, write any grievance, okay, we'll try to subject a main person over there and put the other person into CC, that is copied, okay, while presenting reports also, while documenting a kind of a policy. That time we go on with your formal communication. Now, next you have is your informal communication. Okay, basically, informal communication is nothing but that in simple words you call it as grapevine communication. Okay, what do you mean by grapevine communication? Grapevine communication is something you call it as rumor. Okay, like this is a kind of an unofficial conversation, you can say, not a kind of casual conversation. Okay? So basically, this casual communication, it helps you to build your relationship, and also it tries to spread rumors from one person to another person. Okay, we such communication, we call it as social media chats, or we call it as water cooler talks. Okay, those are referred to as water cooler talks or social media chats. I think a kind of, I mean, we are not following a proper hierarchy to it. Yes, business communication is one. Okay. Now, next you have based on medium of communication. Based on medium of communication, again you have three. Okay, what are those three? The first is your verbal communication. Under verbal communication, you have your oral communication, you have your written communication. Then under non-verbal communication, you have your body language, you have your visual communication and paralanguage. And next is your digital communication. Okay. Now, what do you mean by verbal communication? Verbal communication is nothing but that involves the words that you are speaking from your mouth. Okay. Or you are doing a kind of a face-to-face conversation, or you are just communicating remotely, that is with the help of a device, that is through telephonic conversation. These are all kinds of verbal communication. Coming towards the first, that is oral communication. Okay. Oral communication means direct conversation. How we are going to do direct conversation with the help of the telephone call, with the help of having a face-to-face meeting, or with the help of a speech, or sometimes in seminars, in conference. We are just trying to present our content directly to the other people. Okay. So when we are just trying to transfer our communication from one person to another person, the advantage is like quick exchange of ideas will be there. Okay. And disadvantage, there will be no permanent record. Okay. Coming towards the next, that is written communication. Written communication is done with the help of your letters, with the help of your reports, or notice, or circulars, or what do you say, email, or writing a kind of a memo, or writing a kind of a text message to the other person. Okay. So what is the advantage in written communication? You will have a proof of it. That means it provides a record of communication. But at the same time, when what is the disadvantage? It is a time consuming process. Because the one that you can tell verbally, the same thing you have to put it on paper. When you are putting it on paper, it's a time consuming process, right? So this is one of the disadvantage of written communication. Now next you have your non-verbal communication. Okay. Now what do you mean by non-verbal communication? Basically, non-verbal communication goes on That means without words. Without words. Now, which type of communication is there without words? Huh? Can you tell me? That goes on with your body language, showing a kind of a facial expression or using your hands. For example, sometimes if somebody asks you a question, so what will be your gesture? Either you will nod your head. Yes means this side. No means like this, right? I mean, you have got certain expressions where you want to express what you want to say, right? A kind of a body posture will be there, right? That means you're not speaking with your mouth, but instead you're just showing your expressions. You're just showing your body language in the form of your gestures, in the form of your facial expressions, or in the form of your posture. Now, under this non-verbal, one more thing that you have is your visual communication. What do you mean by this visual communication? Visual communication means here you are using a kind of a models such as your graphs. Okay. For example, if a graph is being given to you, by seeing that particular graph, you are able to predict whether the sales are increasing or the sales are decreasing. If a model is being shown to you, with respect to that model, you are able to tell, I mean, what the other person is trying to show you, right? So this is a visual communication. Now, what do you mean by paralanguage? This is a new term. Paralanguage means suddenly changing your tone or changing your pitch or changing your voice modulation. Sometimes it may happen. We will be talking softly. Suddenly, we'll just try to change our tone. We'll just try to increase our volume pitch. Okay, if something happens. So that particular thing that you refer to as paraphrasing. Why do we try to do it to grab the attention of audience? Okay. For example, I'm just giving you a lecture now. Okay. I'm just moving in a very soft tone. Suddenly, if I just raise my voice, what will happen? It grabs your attention towards me. Arey, madam has told something, I mean, in a very loud voice, in a very loud tone. Suddenly, your attention will be grabbed towards me. Okay, so this is nothing but this is your para language we call it as. Okay, are you all getting? Now next you have is your digital communication. Now what do you mean by digital communication? Digital communication means simply where you are using your electronic platforms in order to exchange your communication, in order to exchange your messages. Okay, for example, your email. Email is one of the sorry, electronic platform. You can go with video conferencing. You have got different apps. You can use your Skype, you can use your WhatsApp video, your IMO, then you have your hotel. I mean, different social apps are there where you can go with exchange of your audio or your video. Then you have your instant messaging. You have your social media platforms, right? So what is the advantage in digital communication? Your communication is very fast and efficient. Okay. At the same time, what is the disadvantage? Disadvantage means it can be misinterpreted because it is without face-to-face contact, right? So sometimes misinterpretation will be there. Sometimes, bandwidth, network quality is not good, so that the other party will not be receiving your communication in a proper way. Okay, so these are some of your digital communications. So here in this, choosing the right communication channel, okay, that ultimately depends on the purpose. Okay, for what purpose you want to go, what is the urgency, okay, and who are your audience, what type of audience you have, okay, because sometimes it may happen the organization they use a mix formal as well as informal. They use verbal as well as non-verbal. They use digital as well as traditional communication just to ensure clarity and efficiency. No organization that goes, uh, there is no organization which goes only with one communication. You might be having different communication. Okay, so communication can go on with formal and informal. It can go on with your verbal and non-verbal. Then even you can go with what do you say, digital communication or your traditional communication. So what is the necessity for it? Just to ensure your clarity and your efficiency, we are going with different modes of your communication. Now, next you have dimensions of communication. Okay, so basically you have five dimensions of your communication. Number one is based on direction. Second is based on mode of expression. Third is based on context. Fourth is based on your purpose. And the last is based on medium. Okay, so coming towards the first, that is based on your dimensions. Is my PPT visible to you all? So, do you think this communication is a very simple process? No, communication is not a simple process because we are in this communication we are introducing different modes of understanding. So this communication is a complex, okay, wherein that involves multiple dimensions. Each has its own importance. Each has its own effectiveness in order to transmit your message to the other party. Okay, so whatever the dimensions that we are using in for this communication, that helps you to understand how it works in different contexts. Okay, now coming towards the first, that is based on direction. Based on direction, again, you have vertical communication, you have horizontal communication, and you have diagonal communication. I don't think so. I have to tell you once again. Vertical communication that goes on with different hierarchical levels, horizontal levels with respect to your peers or the colleagues who are working at same level, and diagonal communication that goes on with different levels across different departments. Okay. Now next you have based on the mode of expression. Okay. So this mode of expression is something where we are referring to the form of communication which is expressed directly. Okay, directly in the sense in the form of verbal communication, non-verbal, or written, or visual. So again, verbal communication where it involves your words that you're speaking from your mouth, either face to face or you're using a kind of a device that is going up with remote, like a teacher explaining a concept in a classroom. That is a verbal communication. Non-verbal is something that involves your body language. Okay, your gestures, your facial expressions, your tone of voice. This also matters over here. Okay, sometimes it may happen you will nod your head to show agreement. That means you are agreeing to a certain rules and regulations. Or sometimes you will just try to show your thumbs up to indicate like in order to express the other person wish you good luck in that. Okay, so this is a kind of a non-verbal communication. Then next you have your written communication. Written communication it involves written words in different formats. Okay, for example, your business proposal, your email, or your memo. Okay, so that goes on with your written communication. Next, you have your visual communication using your models, using your images, charts, okay, videos just to convey message. Okay, now next you have mode of based on context. Based on context, you have interpersonal communication, intrapersonal communication, then you have group communication, and then you have mass communication. Okay, now the dimensions that focus on your environment, okay, or the setting where your communication is taking place. That is divided into four categories. That is interpersonal. What do you mean with interpersonal communication? The communication that is occurring between two or more individuals. Okay, for example, a doctor is discussing a prescription with the patient. Okay, intrapersonal. Intrapersonal happens within an individual. That means it's a kind of a self-talk. You are just analyzing yourself. You're just going up with your reflection. Okay? Like a person thinking about how to handle a difficult situation. Okay, so in this scenario, you will just analyze yourself how I have to react when I'm into that particular situation. Under these circumstances, how am I able to react? Okay, that means a kind of a self-talk, self-analyzation, you can call it as. Okay, next is your group communication. Group communication is something where the communication is taking place in a particular group. For example, a team meeting will be there in an office. Okay, mass communication where you'll be having large audience where you are trying to just spread your message. Okay, with the help of your media. Okay, like you have your news channel. Okay, news channel is trying to broadcast a particular political debate or wherein you'll be getting certain news about the environment or regarding your weather forecast. Okay, if at all if any changes. So here we are just trying to communicate with large number of people. It's going on in mass. Okay, with the help of a media. Now next you have based on purpose. Okay, in based on purpose, you have informative communication, you have pervasive communication, you have expressive communication, then you have directive communication. Okay, based on purpose is something where you have a particular intent. Okay, a kind of a content you can say behind your communication. Okay, informative communication means where you are coming up with certain knowledge, where you are coming up with certain facts, where you are trying to give a kind of a information to the people. Okay, so that you refer to as informative communication, like a professor trying to deliver a lecture. Okay, pervasive communication means here ultimately it tries to influence the opinion or the behavior. By looking at someone, we are just trying to change ourselves. Okay, we are just trying to change our opinion or we are trying to influence others with our behavior. That you refer to as pervasive communication. Okay, simple example is like, for example, a cosmetic product advertisement. Okay, the moment you just see that particular product, it attracts your mind. Arey, if I use this particular product, maybe something is going to happen with the tone of my skin. Okay, that means an advertisement that is promoting a new product. So, in response to that advertisement, we are just trying to adapt it. We're just trying to take that product. We're just trying to buy that product. Okay, so based on the behavior of the advertisement, you are reacting to that situation. That you refer to as your pervasive communication. Next, you have your expressive communication. Okay, what do you mean by expressive? Express something. That is, you try to focus on your emotions. You try to focus on personal. Okay, for example, a poet performing kind of poetry. Okay, so with respect to this poetry, a person is expressing something. A person is, I mean, putting his words of emotion into that poetry. Okay, so that refers to as your expressive communication. Next, you have your directive communication. Okay, now what do you mean by directive communication? Directing means directing a person. Okay, that involves giving orders, that involves giving a kind of an instruction, giving a kind of a request to the other person. Okay, for example, a supervisor assigning task to its employees. Okay, a principal is giving, forwarding rules and regulations or addressing the students how to go on for writing of an exam. Okay, the session that goes on with the faculty to students. Okay, or an assignment is being given by a teacher to the students. This is a kind of a directive communication. Okay, now next you have based on medium. Then based on medium, again you have face-to-face conversation. Then you have your digital communication, you have your print communication, and you have your broadcast communication. Okay. So when we are speaking face to face, that means it's a kind of a real-time interaction. It's a kind of a direct communication. Okay. An example could be your job interview. An example could be you're doing a kind of a survey. Okay. This is a kind of a face-to-face communication. Okay. Digital communication means wherein we are using some electronic devices. Okay. And also electronic devices with the help of your internet. Okay. Like the Zoom meeting is there. Okay. In the Zoom meeting, we are just going after digital. I'm just trying to communicate digitally. I'm using a kind of a platform wherein I'm trying to deliver my lecture with the help of Zoom or WhatsApp message you can say. Okay. So these are the kinds of your. So next coming towards your print communication. Okay, print communication is something where you are including your newspapers, your magazines, or what do you say, a kind of a brochure will be there. Okay, in that particular brochure, some advertising services will be there, some selling services will be there. That means in this print communication, we are trying to use your printing agency. Okay, and at last, your broadcast communication. Broadcast communication is something wherein we are trying to involve your television, your radio, or else your what do you say, iPods, or your podcast. Okay, that means a speech. So broadcast communication is something where you are involving your television, your radio, and your what do you say, iPods. Okay, uh, a kind of a speech or a kind of a news that is being aired on your national television. This is one of the example of your broadcast communication. Okay, so when we are trying to understand the different dimensions of communication, it also helps us to choose the right approach, how we can go with the deliver effective messaging. Okay, so the choice of communication ultimately it depends on the type of people, that is the type of audience that you are addressing. Okay, what is the purpose, what is your content, what is your context. Okay, all these things matter when you are trying to go up with dimensions of your communication. Now next you have types of communication. Okay, so you have different types of communication. The first is based on mode of communication. Second is based on context of communication. Then you have based on medium of communication. Then purpose of communication. These are the four types of communication. Coming towards the first, that is based on mode of communication. Again, in this, you have verbal communication. Again, in verbal, we have oral communication, we have your written communication. Okay, already we have seen this. Coming towards the non-verbal, you have your body language that goes on with your facial expression, your posture, your gesture, your eye contact, then your paralanguage, your visual communication. Okay. Then next is based on
Huh?
context of communication.
Hello,
You have intra-person
hello,
communication, that is self-talk, interpersonal
hello,
communicating with the other party. Okay. Then you have your
hello.
group communication. Okay. Then you have your mass communication. Then coming towards the next, based on purpose of communication, we have informative communication, pervasive communication, expressive communication, and directed communication. Then, based on medium of communication, face to face, you have your digital, you have your print communication, and yes, you have your broadcast communication. Okay, so with this, we have completed your block two. So in block two, we were having
Hello. Huh.
so in your block two, you had your communication channels in which we have discussed about channels of communication. Okay, then we have discussed about dimensions of communication. Then even you have types of communication. Okay, now next coming towards your block three. In your block three, you have about fundamentals of business communication. In this, first we are going to see what is the definition of business communication. Already we have seen in our first class.
Your
Okay,
voice is not at all audible, ma'am.
of information.
Yeah, ma'am. Actually, there
Ideas
is
are
not at all
discussions
clear.
between individuals or groups in a business environment to achieve organizational objectives. So, in simple words, business communication is nothing but wherein we are just trying to exchange our ideas, our emotions, okay, our feelings, okay, and wherein we are trying to pass on certain information or instruction either with a particular person, that is as an to an individual or in a group. That refers to business communication. Okay. Now, why are we going up with the subject of business communication? What does it do basically? The main purpose of going up with the subject is how you are going to enhance your decision making. Okay? You are going to build your strong relationship with the people who are working in your organization, that is your peer group. Okay, your subordinates, your managerial level, your shareholders, your stakeholders. So sometimes your customers, your suppliers. So with all these type of people, how you are going to build your strong relationship. Okay, and also it tries to improve your teamwork. It tries to improve your collaboration. Okay, and it also helps to resolve your what is it misunderstandings. It also helps to resolve your conflicts with other person when you just try to communicate your problem, if at all you are facing any problem. So with that you are just trying to communicate by resolving your conflict. Now, what are the principles of effective business communication? Okay, so basically, this is a 7C concept, you call it as. Okay, what are the 7Cs in business communication? It's your clarity, it's your conciseness, it's your correctness, it's your completeness, it's your courtesy, your consideration, and your concrete. These are the 7Cs, or you can say seven principles of effective business communication. Okay, coming towards the first to see, that is clarity. Unless and until your communication is clear and it is understandable, okay, it will not treated as effective. Okay, so a clear message, it avoids confusion. It ensures whether the other party or the receiver understands whatever the message that you want to convey. Okay, for example, we need to work on the projects soon. Okay, the sentence which I told you, we need to work on the project soon. Okay, when I'm saying this statement, this is something, I mean, the conversation is not clear. Okay, we need to work on the project soon. We have to work on a project, but soon means at what time, on which day, at what time, right? So in this particular sentence, the timing is not mentioned. That means my conversation, my communication is not clear, right? The same sentence, if I'm telling in this way, we need to submit the project report by Friday at 5 p.m. Okay, we need to submit the project report by Friday at 5 p.m. So this communication is clear. Okay, so with this, at least you are coming to a conclusion that you have to submit a project report on Friday, that too at around 5 p.m. Whereas in the previous statement that I told you, you need to submit the project soon. Means when it can be, when the project has to be submitted. There is no proper clarity in that. My communication was not clear in that. But in this particular example, I'm just mentioning a time constraint. Okay, like your project report has to be submitted on Friday at 5 p.m. That means at any cost, you have to submit your report on Friday by 5 p.m. This is a clear communication, right? Are you getting? So there should be proper clarity in the communication.
This is first to C. Coming towards the second C, that is conciseness. What do you mean by conciseness? Conciseness means brief, clear, in detailed manner. That means in this conciseness, you have to avoid unnecessary words that goes on with long-winded explanation. Okay. For example, if a project is being given to you, if a assignment is being given to you, and you are not submitting in a time, so ultimately your faculty will be asking you. So for that, you will be giving a whole paragraph, a kind of a story you will be explaining. Instead of that, just make it customized, make it clear, make it brief. Okay. Because I have got so and so that I could not able to complete my assignment. That's the reason I did not submit it. I'll give you a small example. Okay. For example, we are currently experiencing a lack of sufficient workforce, because of which we are not unable to process the order. Okay. So, in this particular thing, I'm just expressing because I don't have sufficient workforce. Okay. That's the reason I'm not able to process your order. Okay. Will the other person accept this problem? Will the other person accept this apology from my side? No. Okay. In the same sentence, I'm just trying to say due to staff shortage, we cannot process the order right now. That means here I'm just clearly explaining that I'm facing shortage of staff because of which I could not process my order. Right? The best example could be we would like to take the opportunity to inform you that we have received your application or we will be reviewing it soon. Okay. So here my communication is being in a very precise, in a very concise manner. Okay. Next, third C. Third C is about correctness. Correctness means grammatically, factually it should be correct. Okay. Ensure that your message is free from errors. It is free from, what do you say, any, false evidences. You should have proper facts. You should have proper figures in order to express your communication. Okay. For example, I'm saying our company has been established in 2005 and we have 500 employees. Okay. Here, this is something incorrect grammar, right? A company has established in 2005 and we have 500 employees now. Means when it was established in 2005, I need to speak about the employees in that particular time period itself, right? Why am I speaking about the employees for now who are working now, right? So, how it can be corrected? It can be corrected in such a way like our company was established in 2005 and now we have 500 employees, right? This is your third C. Fourth C is about completeness. Okay. Completeness means that includes all the information. That means the message should answer all your possible questions, whatever the other person may try to ask. Okay. For example, I'm just mentioning, please bring the required documents to the meeting. Okay. The other person, what he might be thinking, what documents it could be. My communication, my message is not complete. I'm just saying, please try to bring required documents. But what documents? Whereas the same, if I'm saying, please bring your ID proof, your resume, your experience certificate for an interview on Monday at 10 o'clock in so and so room. What is happening in this particular sentence? My message is complete. My message has got all the required documents, such as your ID proof, it has your resume, your experience certificate, along with the timing I'm mentioning. Whereas in the previous statement that I gave you, please bring the required documents to the meeting. That means what documents and the meeting will be conducted where, at what time, when. I mean, these things are absent in that in this particular communication. Whereas if I'm saying, please bring your ID proof, your resume, so in this, what is happening? I'm just trying to tell you what documents you have to come along for an interview that is scheduled on Monday at 10 a.m. at so and so place. This is a complete message. So this is your fourth C. Coming towards your fifth C. Your fifth C is about courtesy. Okay. Courtesy means be polite, be respectful in your communication. Okay. That means maintain a kind of a professionalism. Okay. Maintain a kind of a respect when you are speaking to the other party. Okay. Are you all getting? So if I'm saying you did not submit your report on time, this is unacceptable. Okay. So in this particular statement, what I'm trying to show, I'm just trying to show my rudeness. I'm just trying to show my aggressiveness. Okay, because you have not submitted your report on time. I'm saying you did not submit your report on time, for which I'm not accepting it. That means this sounds something rude. This sounds something a kind of aggressiveness, which is not acceptable to the other party. The same way, if I'm expressing, I noticed that your report is pending. Okay, I noticed, Karthik, that your report is pending. Try to submit it by 5 p.m. today. Okay, in this particular example, what is happening? A kind of a softness is there, wherein, with respect to my communication, I'm just trying to influence you. Please try to submit your pending report by 5 p.m. today. Okay, so can we able to figure out the difference between the first sentence and the second sentence? In my first sentence, I was showing you my rudeness, my aggressiveness. Whereas in the second statement, the same thing is there, but in a different tone, I'm telling you, Karthik, your report is pending. Try to submit by 5 p.m. How positively this particular message is being conveyed to you, right? So this is nothing but this is your courtesy. That is, be polite and respectful when you are speaking to the other party. Okay. Sixth C. Sixth C is about consideration. Okay. What do you mean by
Ma'am,
consideration?
hello.
Consideration means understand the receiver's perspective.
Hello, ma'am.
Ask for the needs, ask for the emotions, ask for the background of the other person. Try to convey your message. Okay. For example, the other person is very sad. He has gone through trauma. And when that person is going through some trauma state, you are expressing a kind of a happiness. Okay. Is that situation good to convey your message? It's not good. Consider, consider the emotions. Consider
Hello,
the background
ma'am.
of the receiver. Okay. The
Hello,
needs of the receiver. Okay.
ma'am.
For example, I'm just saying you
Hello,
people have to work on weekends. Okay. I have a company
ma'am. It is audible,
wherein
ma'am.
I'm just telling them to work on weekends. Okay. So is it acceptable to the other people? Is it acceptable by the other party? Maybe the other party will be going on some vacations, they'll be having some other plans. Somebody will be going for, I mean, going to hospitals. Somebody will have a birthday plan. Somebody will be going outside for a dinner or for a lunch. Okay. So here in this case, I'm not
Ma'am,
considering
can you please
anyone
explain
concern.
second point, ma'am?
I'm just trying to circulate my instruction that you have to work on weekends. So that is not acceptable. But the same thing, if I'm saying, say we are introducing an optional weekend, we have some additional work. If you people are coming on that particular day, We are going to compensate you for the other day. What will happen? A kind of motivation will be there from your side. Ultimately, what will be thinking, Array, if I come on weekend, okay, my manager or my superior is giving me a compensated D in lieu to that. That you will be benefiting from it. But without any benefit, I mean, without any motivation, without any benefit, and if I'm just trying to instruct you something, you will not get that much motivation from your side. Am I right?
Ma'am, can you
Are
please
you
explain
getting
fourth
what
point
I'm
and
trying
fifth
to
point, ma'am?
express? So this is something consideration. This is your sixth skill. Try to consider the limits, right? Emotions, the behavior, okay, the background of the other person
Hello,
when
ma'am.
you're trying to communicate.
Hello,
And the last C is concreteness.
ma'am. It is audible, ma'am.
What do you mean by concreteness? Concreteness is something where you are trying to show some specific facts, where you are trying to show some figures to your communication. That means avoiding false statements or not giving actual or factual data that is there in your reports. That refers to your correctness. Okay. For example, my sales has improved significantly this quarter. Okay. So in my communication, I mean, I'm not using any figures. I'm just saying my sales have been improved. But how much it has been improved and when it has been improved, no proper timing is mentioned. No proper percentage is there. The same thing if I'm saying our sales have increased by 25% in quarter three. Okay, in quarter three because of additional, what do you say, additional efficiency from your side. So this is a kind of concreteness. I'm just trying to show you with some facts, with some figures in my statement. That is nothing but that is your concreteness. This is the final C of your communication. So whatever the seven C's that you are making or that you are using in your communication, that makes your communication effective. It makes your communication more professional as well as impactful. So by following these principles, you can ensure clarity in your business, clarity in your communication, efficiency in your communication, and also it tries to help your positive relationship with your
Hello, ma'am.
subordinates,
Can you please
with
explain
your
third and fourth point?
customers, and with your stakeholders. So these are the seven P's in order to make your communication more effective. That is clarity, conciseness, correctness, completeness, courtesy, consideration, and completeness. So with this, I'll just try to wind up over here. Okay, in my next session, I'll just try to move on with different types of business communication. Okay, is that clear to you all?
Hello, ma'am. Hello.
So I'll just wind up my session over here. Thank you for attending my session. Thank you.